Yep, Dalton Joyce. I have my glasses on because I've been crying all morning looking at the swing. It's just so poetic, it's so powerful. How does it work? Today we're going to find out how it works, but in the meantime, let's take a look at a couple of these videos. You can see this stuff. Look at this one. How far should you hit your 3-iron? Let's just take a look at this. Just ripped it right down the middle. Let's look at how far he hit this one. 291 with 175 mile an hour club head speed, ball speed. That is just phenomenal for a 3-iron. How does he do this? Besides being young and strong, you know what I feel like? I feel like the Color Money. I feel like I'm Paul Newman, and this guy is Tom Cruise. Changing of the guards. Not to say I ever was like this. I could probably hit this half as far as he does, but you know what? In my mind, I think I'm just like this guy. But go and follow his stuff. Let's figure out his swing. Let's look at the cause and effect and see maybe how you can imagine that you are him, but it's not going to work. The best way to do this is get a green screen, put yourself on the green screen on his stuff, and call it even. But let's take a look at how it works. Wow, man. 8-iron, 220 yards. What a joke. For those that wonder where I got that 8-iron 220, there is a video of him hitting it that far, and it's probably just a normal swing. He could probably jack it out there 250, 260 if he wants to, but let's talk about why, and it's very important. We're going straight down into impact, and look at the statement he put on the bottom of his swing. Big dog behind me said he's practicing for junior high school golf tryouts this week. Let me show him how it's really done. And what he did was just absolutely launch this golf ball. We're going to go right down into impact to start things off a little bit differently. And we're going to look at a few key areas. And what we're going to look at is where are the hands at impact. And this is very important when you're starting to look at how you hit the ball very far, because it's all relative to your tilting, your ball position, how you move around. And if you follow this channel, you know that everything is based on your setup. So we'll learn about his impact, how he's able to hit so far up on the golf ball and probably reduce the spin rate tremendously so. And then we look at his starting points and look at how he actually manipulates his body to do so, because what he is doing is very remarkable. Not something I would suggest, but it's really cool to watch. So what we're going to do is look at the path of his hands. So if we go just one frame after impact, we can see that his hands are up over here. So now we draw a little line and just show you how much his hands are traveling up right before he strikes the golf ball. His body is in such a position that is tilting everything to accommodate this, and this takes a very talented move. So what we're going to do is draw where his spine angle is, and you see that his hands have met the center of that spine angle. Now this is important because he's basically tilting his whole world around him. He's kind of like Zeus. So if he has a little bit more of that shoulder tilt right down, based on the path of the hands, we can see that his center of the circle just basically moves upwards. So essentially, he has tilted his earth. He has tilted the ground this way. So he is working on this new angle at impact. Why is this important? Because if you look at things relative, if we can spin this thing around, and I wish I was able to do that. Let me see if I can do that here. No, I can't do that, but what I might do is take a screenshot and insert it here so this will make more sense to you. So let's just do that right now. Okay, so hopefully this makes sense to you. We're going to take this image that he has at impact and just go ahead and twist this around to make sure that the green matches up with earth. And this is what I'm trying to explain, how he has manipulated his tilting and he's moved things around relative to his new bottom of that circle. So if this is earth where that green line is, that's parallel to earth. We can see that his hands are way ahead of that golf ball while he is still holding his ankle retention. So let's get back. So hopefully that did explain a little bit with that still and that imagery. I try to explain as best I can, but basically we know that his hands are still ahead of the golf ball based on his new bottom of the earth that he has created with this green line. So if you take a look at the position of his hands, let's draw this in our favorite Barney purple and draw it relative to the bottom of his new earth that he's created. And let's draw the golf ball relative to the path of his hands, and you can see how much more forward they are at the golf ball while he is still retaining a great amount of conservation of angular momentum. And I probably said the same thing twice to make myself sound more intelligent than I am, which is not that hard to do. But from this point on, as he strikes the golf ball, boom, that's where everything just releases that conservation of energy, drives through that one frame. His path of his hands is extending up, which helps the launch angle, de-lofting the spin rate. It is just a phenomenal position. position, and even past impact here. Look at how his hands, well past impact. Let's go to the top of the swing. Let's clear these lines up, and look at this. Barney Purple, we're going to draw the shoulder tilt, the hands, and where are they? They are still well connected in the center of his chest. At this point of the swing, do you know how flexible you have to be, how strong you have to be? I mean, that's about as strong as I can get, and I felt like I popped my back. But enough of that. Let's go look at the start of his swing and see how he's able to do this. So if you know about my ideology on setup, there is always an issue when you start getting your forward press, strong grip, because when you do have a strong grip like this gentleman does and a slight forward press, you have to manipulate the body correctly. So let's draw our tilting down. First of all, our hands and our chest straight down through that 90-degree angle, and we can see that there is that forward press, which is going to create some havoc for the mortals out there, but not for Zeus over here, the god of golf. This we should call him. And instead of Zeus, we should call him something else like Spruce or something. So that is what the amateurs were trying to do. That center of the chest would fall over to the blue line, but hey, he ain't no amateur. This guy is a pro. So to figure out what he is going to do, let's draw that golf ball 90 degrees, and it should be right on that tilt there. Look at that. It's right on that right shoulder. So this forward press is a little different because we typically see forward press with that golf ball more in the center, which actually brings your golf ball out over here sometimes, and now you're really disconnected from your center. This is actually a pretty good forward press because it keeps the hands relative to the center of his chest, and the golf ball is well out on that left foot. So this is something you can learn from. But let's take a look. The compensatory motions that I believe is going to take place is we're going to draw our angles now and figure out, does he do this correctly? So this is the angle we're looking for, is the disconnection between your green line and your red line. So it's not giving me an angle, and that's usually a sign that my computer is on the verge of exploding. So there's 164 degrees, and now we're going to do the same look for that 164, and we're going to be right about, that's close enough, 165. So now what we're going to do is draw a new spine tilt and kind of guesstimate if that is what he's going to look like at impact. Whoa. So let's redraw that, and that right over that 165. So that Barney Purple is going to be our crystal ball guess to see where he has at impact. And let's just take a look. Why does he get down at impact? What happens here? Bam. You can see, look at that tilting. It has fallen back to make up for that forward press, and just like a pro, that is why he is able to manipulate the body correctly to address that forward press. Where you at home, where you're trying to steal distance and deal off the club and do all that stuff to try and hit the ball further, you don't have the compensations like they do. You compensate like an amateur. You move more left to close that gap the other way, and that gives you a steeper angle approach. You start pulling left because your path moves around. You start flippy dippy because you moved your ball position to your right foot. So this is why I'm very cautionary to you. Is that a way to say that word? This is why my caution is to you. Don't do all this stuff. You're going to ruin your golf swing and probably hurt yourself. But that brings us to the down the line, and let's just take a look at the swing. Look how poetic it is. Not a lot of effort going on here, but a lot of force is being delivered. How does he do that? Notice the slight bow lift left wrist, and we talked about this a couple of minutes ago. Bowing the left wrist doesn't necessarily close the club face. It delofts the club. So when you deloft the club and you swing up like he does, you counteract that deloft, and this just helps you hit it even further. Let's take a look before I run out of air. And just because this is a special guest, we are going to draw these plane lines in our Barney Purple. Yes, we are. And we're going to extend these plane lines out. And obviously, this is not the tip-top camera angle we would have liked. But you know what? We're going to make it work because we're going to look at a couple of key areas. Is that angle retention? And you will definitely notice some things occurring from the start of his swing down into impact. What do you notice about an angle retention? It is right there. He is actually increasing his tilt, which is, again, why most amateurs should not be forward pressing, because you cannot get that exaggerated tilt to compensate the forward press. Remember, he's tilting and he's also falling back. to swing more up, and that's why he also has to de-loft the club at the top of his swing with these bold left wrists, but he's doing this all to take advantage of something kind of like the Zuid-Afrikaanse Nachmira. I'm going to leave the link right now above me hopefully it works. If not, it's downstairs. That's what he does in his swing, and that's why he's able to hit it 450 yards. But we can see how textbook this takeaway is. We see right here the shoulders are slightly more up, and that is decent because of that right hand is a little bit lower at address, but at the top of the swing he will correct this, and we see the left shoulder tilt back down to reach perpendicular of his initial spine angle. We see the arms getting just above the upper plane line, which is fine, but that centeredness, this is the centeredness of his swing. Look where that club is sitting right behind the center, and from this point on, look, it goes straight down, and this is what is very important, which most of us cannot do. Most of us, our hands move this way, which is not a way to do it because that's the steepness, and that's probably because of the compensation, and you're sliding back over to make up for that compensation in the forward press. But now the hands drop down because he is increasing his tilt. He's crunching down the right side. He's pulling his weight towards that back brace line, and from here he's already opening up to the target with a huge angle retention. But if you notice at the top, there is that slight bow, and that is good for him because, like I said, it is de-lofting the club. So let's say he has a 9 degree. If he gets that little bowing, he's actually de-lofting it to about a 6 or a 5 degree, but he counteracts that by falling back and tilting and holding on to maybe get that 6 degree now to 7 or 8. And as we go back down, we can see this huge amount of torque. We see this huge amount of tilting down. And just for argument's sake, let's just take a look at how much tilt he has right at impact. So right there's where he's striking the golf ball. Look at this tilting. It is 74 degrees. Top of his swing, it is, man, 27. So this is about 50 degrees of tilt, which is insane while you're still trying to rotate and pull back. So man, bottom line is just don't try this at home, because you will be writing to me and saying, Tony, I'm in the hospital, I need some money to get my body out of a sling, out of a cast, and I want to go play golf again. You won't play golf, you'll hurt yourself. But just watch and learn and how he hits this ball so fluidly. But one more video I want to show you, and this is a very interesting video, is let me move my fat head out the way. Let me put me right there, nice and small. All right, so this is a cool video because I'm going to play these over and over again. And the one on the left side is his slow swing. The one in the middle is his medium swing. The one on the right is his fast swing. Now, this is all internal because if you look at the overall motion on all these, they look identical in terms of speed. Now, speed and effort are two different things. I've heard somebody say, oh, amateurs swing this too fast, this too slow, amateurs overswing everything. It's not necessarily about the speed. You don't really swing faster or slower. It's DNA'd in you. And here's a good case in point. The slow swing on his left side versus the fast swing on his left side, they're the same speeds. They're not different. There may be different effort, and the amount of force he's putting that impact feels faster or slower. But let's just take a look. We're going to go frame by frame. One is slow, one is middle, one is fast. If anything, the slow one on the left side kind of moves a little bit quicker down into impact, but you take a look here, they're all within a microsecond of each other. So again, it's all internalized when you feel this. So just work with the pro. Bottom line, work with the reputable coach that's near you, that has access to some data metric launch monitors, that understands cause and effect and understands you as a person, because you just can't just start nitpicking and choosing little pieces of this and that. It's not going to work. A la these Ben Hogan armchair gurus out there. Enough armchair guys. Go to a guy that can do it for a living, that has done it for a living, and stop looking for people to help you that have no business helping you. Hope that helps you. I'll see you next time. Fairways and greens.